This evening, first up, my final warning. President Irfaan Ali lashes out at contractors over the East Bank public road chaos, ordering 24-hour drone surveillance, tougher penalties, and a full traffic overhaul. Plus, Showdown in Region 10. When councillors threaten legal action if the Clerk of Council doesn't resume the tied RDC elections within 48 hours, calling the suspension unlawful and arbitrary. Also, breaking the silence. Over 330 men have reported domestic violence this year. Minister Vindhya Persaud says abuse knows no gender, and new brave centers are opening to help all victims. Meanwhile, protecting Guyana's children. The government renews its pledge to keep every child safe, rolling out new community-based initiatives and training to detect and stop abuse before it's too late. And overseas, deadly floods in Mexico. Torrential rains trigger landslides across 5 states, leaving at least 41 people dead and thousands displaced. These stories and more are coming up on Headline News Update. Stay with us. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for October 13, 2025. I'm Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali has issued a stern warning to contractors and consultants involved in the East Bank Public Road Rehabilitation Project, ordering immediate measures to address the severe traffic congestions plaguing commuters. During a high-level meeting on Sunday with representatives from the Ministry of Public Works, the Guyana Police Force, and the Coast Guard, China Road and Bridge Corporation, and Shelby Associates Incorporated, President Ali criticized the poor management and slow pace of the works.
It is clear to me that enough effort is not placed in the contract management and the workflow plan. And as a result, you are causing tremendous hardship on the people who are using this roadway.
The president directed that a daily work plan be coordinated with the traffic control team and that all areas open overnight must be made usable by the following day. The president also instructed Police Commissioner Clifton Hickins to deploy a permanent traffic presence along the corridor, supported by drone monitoring and containerized control system to detect violations. Truck drivers forming illegal lanes will face charges, Ali warned, as he ordered 24-hour drone surveillance and the relocation of the traffic control room closer to the construction site. He further demanded a revised work plan outlining how additional manpower and machinery will be used to accelerate progress. Citing his own late-night visits to the site, President Ali expressed frustration over limited night work and warned of penalties for contractors, consultants, and engineers who failed to meet their responsibilities. To mitigate travel disruptions, he also directed the Coast Guard and the Police Marine Unit to prepare boats to transport passengers to the airport in the event of an emergency.
So I brought together today all the stakeholders to go over some measures and to put in place a permanent system that will reduce as far as possible the difficulties to the commuters. We know there will be disruption because it is the only carriageway. But you are contributing to the difficulties that we are having.
Calling this his final warning, President Ali emphasized the need for coordination, teamwork, and precision as the government pushes to complete the critical infrastructure upgrade under the National Development Agenda. On a different note, the We Invest in Nationhood WIN councillors in Region 10 are threatening to take legal action against the Clerk of Council, Dwight John, if he fails to reconvene the Regional Democratic Council within 48 hours to complete the election of a chairman and vice chairman. The warning was issued through attorney-at-law Sian Dujan, who argued that the clerk acted unlawfully when he suspended the voting process only after one round and referred the matter to the Minister of Local Government, Priya Manichan, for a casting vote. According to Dijon, the Local Democratic Organs Act outlines up to 5 stages for resolving a tie, including up to 3 additional rounds of voting, followed by a process to assign numeric values to councillors' votes, and if necessary, a final public lot draw conducted by the clerk. At last Friday's election, Win candidate Mark Goring and APNU's Dominic Blair each received an equal number of votes for the position of regional chairman. Following the tie, the clerk halted the proceedings and announced that Minister Manichan would cast the deciding vote, a move Win claims is ultra-vires, arbitrary and illegal. In a pre-action letter sent to both the clerk and the minister, Dijon cautioned against any unlawful intervention by the minister, warning that she too could be named as a respondent in court proceedings. The clerk must now either resume or recommence the lawful process of elections as set out by law, failing which proceedings shall be instituted in the Supreme Court to compel him to perform his statutory function, the attorney stated. Win's councillors maintain that the election process must proceed in accordance with the law to ensure transparency and fairness for the people of Region 10. Moving on, the Wales Gas-to-Energy project has entered a round-the-clock work schedule, marking a major acceleration in construction aimed at delivering one of Ghana's most transformative energy developments. President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali, during a site visit on Friday evening, witnessed the final concrete pour for the 4th turbine foundation, a key milestone in the 300-megawatt power plant. He announced that all 4 turbine foundations are expected to be laid by the end of December, with the majority of equipment on site by January. The contractor, consultant, and project team are now working 24/7, increasing workforce and man-hours to get back on schedule as quickly as possible. The president highlighted the positive impact of the newly opened Demerara River Bridge, which enables the transportation of heavy equipment and materials without delays, thereby boosting productivity. About 400 workers are stationed on site, with piling work nearly completed. Over 9,300 piles are planned for the project, with only 40 remaining for turbine and plant areas. Upon completion, it will form part of a larger Wales development zone, an industrial and manufacturing hub expected to host facilities such as fertilizer plant, data centers, agro-processing industries, and light manufacturing zones. The president said this project is not only about reliable and cheaper energy, it's about unlocking new opportunities for industrialization, agro-processing, and manufacturing, making Guyana's economy more competitive and resilient. Once operational, the gas-to-energy plant is projected to deliver up to 300 megawatts of low-cost power, reducing electricity costs for homes and businesses while supporting Guyana's expanding economy. Stick around when we return. Domestic violence is a great concern for all genders, and the government reaffirms its commitment to keeping every child safe.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Our smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services. 316 Middle Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Domestic violence remains one of the most pressing social issues in Guyana, continuing to devastate families and communities across the country. While women make up the majority of reported victims, men are increasingly coming forward to share their own experiences of abuse. This development highlights the broader scope of the problem. According to Human Services and Social Security Minister Dr. Vindhya Persaud, more than 330 men have filed domestic violence reports so far this year, signaling a growing awareness that abuse affects all gender. Speaking on the Starting Point podcast, Minister Persaud said, while women still account for 80% of reported domestic violence cases, the steady increase in male reports marks a significant shift.
Men are affected, but 80% of women tend to be recorded, and the men are slowly increasing in number. And this year's 333 men would have made reports as compared to any other year.
The minister addressed misconceptions that domestic violence programs only serve women, clarifying that all initiatives under her ministry are gender neutral. However, she noted that many men feel excluded from existing support systems.
The programs are gender neutral,
Correct.
But men tend to think that when we respond, it doesn't really move in their direction.
To address this, the ministry introduced the Bridging the Gap policy, which promotes male engagement, leading to the creation of Brave Centers and the Partnership and Relationship Assessment Program. The first Brave Center launched in Region 3 earlier this year, focused on prevention, intervention, and rehabilitation rather than labeling or stereotyping men.
You can call 914. All of these services are free. They're open to everyone. They run from the coastland to the hinterland.
Dr. Persaud noted that the aim is to ensure that every victim, man, woman, children, or the elderly, receives the protection and support needed to live free from violence. In other news, in its ongoing mission to build safer communities by prioritizing child welfare, the government has reaffirmed its commitment to keeping every child safe through strengthened legislation and community-based initiatives aimed at protecting children and supporting families. Minister of Human Services and Social Security, Dr. Vindhya Persaud, made a declaration during an interview on the Starting Point podcast, where she outlined several key achievements in child protection and family development. Highlighting her ministry's efforts, Minister Persaud noted that the recently established Children's Advocacy Network trains individuals nationwide to identify warning signs of abuse and provide timely support. She urged citizens to play an active role by reporting suspected cases of child abuse and showing compassion towards vulnerable children.
For the first time in Guyana, a central authority that does that. And just before elections in 2025, another piece of important legislation speaking about cross-border issue of child protection was tabled by me in Parliament and supported like the previous one. So the central authority is now empowered to look at inter-country adoption as well as child protection issues.
There have been over 2,600 cases of child abuse reported, with the most prevalent one being neglect. Recognizing the challenges parents face, the minister emphasized that the line between discipline and abuse is very thin.
In the highest percentage is neglect, then comes physical abuse, then comes sexual abuse. In terms of perpetrators, the people at the top of the list are actually mothers, then fathers, then anyone else. And so when we speak of abuse, it includes neglect.
Minister Persaud noted that the government continues to work with those affected children and families.
We have started 3 years ago the Street Light Project. This was a recognition of children on the street for various reasons. Children on the street begging, yes, but children on the street engaging in all kinds of things. That is neglect. And so we have picked up 30 children this year, and we have worked with not only the child, but their families. We've worked with those children through Child Protection Agency or the Family Enhancement Services Unit. The FES unit has a structure where they do what we call a YSET test. That was worked on with us through USAID. It's an upgraded test of the entire family situation, where we work with child and family to have a semblance of less dysfunctionality or more normalcy in the home. And we work with everybody through the child care agency 50% of that 30, we would have directly assisted them with everything from support on welfare, helping with employment, you name it, we have done it. What we are looking harshly at is recidivism, a recurrence of the issue. And we find some people do that. And if you look at the numbers of children we have picked up from the roads, for example, all of them have parents and families. It's not that they don't, but their parents and families need to be more cognizant of where they are and what they're doing.
She also highlighted the creation of a parenting workbook to guide families and the completion of the National Integrated Early Childhood Development Policy and related training programs for caregivers and educators. Minister Persaud credited the government's ongoing support for enabling these milestones, reiterating that the ministry's focus remains on building safer homes, stronger communities, and a more nurturing environment for every child in Guyana. Don't go after the break. Peru's new president inherits corruption and soaring crime, and Madagascar unrest deepens. Army joins youth-led protests.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services. 316 Middle Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. The United States has delivered 20 armored vehicles to Haiti's new 5,500-member gang suppression force, part of a UN-backed effort to combat rampant gang violence. The force replaces the Kenya-led MSS mission. Guatemala has pledged 150 officers, while the U.S. continues coordinating regional support and funding discussions. Peru has been thrust into another political crisis after President Dina Boluarte was ousted by Congress. Al Jazeera's Mariana Sanchez reports.
Here on the doorsteps of Congress, Peru's latest political shakeup has unfolded like it is part of normal daily life. Dina Boluarte was the 7th president Peru has had in 9 years. Now she's been ousted with less than 3% approval rating. Magda Perez rolls her eyes about the near decade-long political crisis. She's more worried about preventing her little mobile shop a few steps from Congress from getting robbed.
I feel helpless. We can't do anything. We could have a future when we have total change.
25-year-old Gerson grew up in this neighborhood. He laughs when lawmakers stop by for lunch.
The rats? They are my clients. Many eat here. They are thieves in a suit. We are in a country without laws, without security. I feel disappointed.
Opinion polls show just 2% approval for Congress, its lowest ever. Peruvians despise politicians across the board. After nearly 3 years in office, Dina Boluarte left facing 29 criminal investigations. Her successor, 38-year-old José Gerí, is himself under investigation for corruption, sexual abuse and illicit enrichment. Critics say the most powerful politicians have struck a pact to protect each other.
A subordinate agenda has been agreed, linked to impunity, to slowing down the fight against corruption, and that has dismantled a large part of the architecture of criminal law that allowed us to have high-profile people investigated and penalized by the justice system.
80% of politicians are under criminal investigation. For the last 2 years, the most powerful politicians here in Congress dismissed 7 impeachment motions against Boluarte to protect her. But general elections are 6 months away, and critics say politicians have distanced themselves from Boluarte to clean up their slate. Critics say the same parties who kept the former president in office for nearly 3 years, despite corruption allegations, now want to portray themselves as the country's saviors. But many here say Boluarte's downfall is their victory. After weeks of protesting, many Peruvians are calling to march again. They say they can't wait for general elections in April. Instead, they say legislators too must go now. Mariana Sanchez, Al Jazeera, Lima.
In Mexico, heavy rainfall has caused severe flooding and landslides across 5 states. Authorities says at least 41 people have been killed. Al Jazeera's Julia Galliano reports.
Hold on just a little bit longer. A man screams to a desperate child, trapped up a tree some 100 meters away, assuring him the waters are receding. Dramatic rescues are taking place throughout central and southeastern Mexico as torrential rains associated with tropical storms Priscilla and Raymond caused flash flooding, burst riverbanks, and landslides. It was the speed of the crisis which caught many off guard.
No one was prepared for this. The flood reached a height of 1.5 meters. Everything was flooded.
Dozens of communities remained inaccessible on Saturday, with the states of Hidalgo and Veracruz among the hardest hit. The federal government deployed some 6,000 soldiers to assist in recovery efforts. Authorities said the death toll was expected to rise as more communities regained power and access to the internet and phone lines. President Claudia Sheinbaum met with state authorities and civil protection officials. She said on X that her government planned to provide direct support to all those affected by the floods. But the crisis isn't necessarily over yet. Strong rains were expected to continue throughout the country over the weekend, hampering rescue efforts in some places and bringing the potential for further flash flooding.
We've been told that the rain will continue. The important thing is to monitor the rain upstream. We're waiting for information on whether it is raining in the mountains so that we can provide the necessary assistance.
Mexico has been hit with record-breaking rains in 2025, and with over a month to go until the end of the season, there may still be more to come. Here in the capital, rains have overwhelmed infrastructure with nearly weekly flooding of major roads and even the international airport. Perhaps a new normal as residents and authorities get used to a changing climate. Julia Galliano, Al Jazeera, Mexico City.
In Madagascar, soldiers from a key army corps have declared solidarity with protesters, urging police to disregard government orders. Al Jazeera's Ali Hashim reports.
A shocking moment that could haunt Madagascar's government for a long time. In this verified video, a policeman is seen setting a woman's hair on fire during a crackdown. Protesters accuse authorities of corruption, nepotism, and failing to tackle poverty that affects more than 80% of the population. Now, soldiers from the Army's Capsat Corps, a unit that staged a mutiny and helped bring President André Rajoelina to power in 2009, are siding with the protesters.
Let us be united, soldiers, gendarmes and police. Do not let money bribe us into shooting our friends, brothers and sisters. We are the people. Return to the population.
The declaration went viral online, urging other security forces not to follow what it termed unlawful orders. It's a rare act of open defiance from within the military, in a country where coups have repeatedly reshaped power. Security forces fired tear gas, rubber bullets and stun grenades to disperse the crowds.
Ils sont corrompus. They are corrupt. They are incompetent. That's why we, Gen Z, are mobilizing. Enough of the old guard who are just lining their pockets. Make way for young people.
President Rajulina has dissolved his government and appointed Army General Irfaan Ali as Prime Minister in an effort to ease tensions. But the youth-led movement Gen Z MADA has rejected any dialogue demanding Rajulina's resignation. With soldiers now siding with protesters and fears of another military split is growing, many people in the country fear history could be repeating itself. Ali Hashim, Al Jazeera.
This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-event forecast. And that's Safety with Headline News for this Monday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for a rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other.